What's up, y'all? Welcome back into the LA Sports Brotherhood. It's me, Brian, here with my brother Matthew, and we're back with another Laker offseason video. Gonna be a lot of more of these coming out because there's a lot of stuff going on. So we're gonna talk head coaching now because they've already interviewed a couple people, and either way, just the rumors and there's a bunch of reports and kind of conflicting leaks and the same stuff that the Lakers have always done. No matter what, front office is going to conflict with their star player and they're going to leak back and forth to different members. Like when you see a Shams tweet, it's from LeBron, and when you see Woj tweet, it's from the front office. And that's basically how it's going to go. But yeah, so we're on the topic of head coaches. We talked about this with Ham and kind of our feeling on the importance of the head coach in general and the role that they're going to play. And it's tough to assign the importance. It's tough to assign the genuine impact that a coach has when a team isn't winning championships. Because when they win, you can be like, oh, yeah, championship coach, there he is. Like, I was watching we were watching the Pacers game, and championship coach Rick Carlisle had like two legit blunders at the end of the game that blew the game and let the Celtics come back. And it's just like, when you see that, when I see that at least, it makes it tough for me to be like, this head coaching hire is going to make or break the franchise. It's like, I don't know. Anyway, beyond that, Matt, with these new names coming out and everything that's going on, how are you feeling about the head coaching search for the Lakers in general?
Be honest, it's a little bit weird because I feel like I'm sure you'll agree there's no in the NBA, I think there's a lack of just championship coaches like you said. I think it's clear we're not going to get like this experienced guy who's been there, he's done that. And I'm not really mad about that because there is no one where like no, we don't want Doc Rivers. We don't want I don't want, I should say I don't want another rerun of a guy who's been a coach for 10 years and it's never really worked out. And oh, because he has experience, let's send him over here to LA with LeBron.
Yeah.
I don't like that. So I will say, I for what's out there, I am liking the names. I just want a smart basketball mind, a smart guy that gets respect. I think with Ham, we like the idea of him, and like we thought we could shape him into be like the next Laker coach who will be here, even past LeBron, and it clearly didn't work out. The guys hated him. They didn't get along. You need to get a smart guy who knows basketball, who has respect, who has been a part of a good team. So yeah, that's I'm not I'm not thrilled, and frankly, like you said, I'm not like, oh my god, we need this guy. It's not college football, Like the players are still going to drive this team.
Yeah. Yeah. So if I could personally rank what I think, like the sports in terms of how important coaching is, or the three major American sports at least, MLB by far the bottom. No, it doesn't matter. Managers, if the manager didn't exist, nothing would happen. And football is by far the most important because the schemes are so important. And then basketball is like a genuine neutral to me because schemes are important. The way you approach games is 100% important. But the players themselves have so much impact on the actual game because where the schemes and stuff are still as prevalent and like meaningful as in football, there is no time to adjust and like there's no 40 seconds between every play like in football where you could slow down and the coach is literally telling the players what to do. The middle linebacker and the quarterback have getting the plays fed to them every single time. That's not happening. Basketball is reading and reacting, and you have to be in the right position to do that, which is coaching, which is like drilling and stuff. But at the end of the day, the players have to do it. And when the players did it, Darvin Ham looked like a genius because the scheme, offensively at least, was actually very solid. It's just D'Lo was missing a bunch of shots, Reeves was missing a bunch of shots. We had to play Cam Reddish sometimes, and then he was played voluntarily, which is a coaching thing. So it's like there's such a big mix that I don't think that head coaching or coaching in general is not important in basketball. It's just if we get an incredible coach or whatever, but we screw up the players and the roster's bad, we're gonna be bad. It won't matter. So that's where our priorities are at least. But anyway, let's get into actual names. So if you believe every report that's come out, which I mean you shouldn't for anything, but just taking it at face value, because Lakers front office loves leaking stuff to reporters. So if it's coming from Woj, if it's coming from Shams, if it's coming from Chris Haynes sometimes, but he's like a direct player guy. Windhorst kind of gets in. If it comes from Dave McMenamin, for sure it's just Jeannie Buss telling him. So we know they've interviewed James Borrego, who is an assistant with the Hornets right now, I'm pretty sure. Excuse me, the Pelicans. I was thinking of New Orleans Hornets. With the Pels, Sam Cassell they've interviewed, and he's with the Celtics. He's still active. And JJ Redick allegedly they've interviewed, which is it's crazy that we haven't really heard anything except for that one tweet that I saw. I know they're super in love with him. Actually, let's start there. What are your thoughts on JJ Redick becoming an NBA head coach, just generally, not even for the Lakers?
I mean, the guy, he knows basketball. I honestly like him personally. I think he one day can be a really good head coach, but it's not. It's a little tough to think about a guy who has a podcast and has never coached before is going to be the head coach of the greatest basketball player ever and the biggest team in American sports. That is just a little tough to wrap my hand around. And it's not because I don't think he loves basketball. It's simply just that. That's not a Laker thing to do to hire a guy who just retired who has a freaking podcast for God's sake, which there's nothing wrong with. I actually think he does a good job. But yeah, it's tough getting past that. But he's a smart basketball mind. What do you think about him?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only issue I would have with it, because like the podcast stuff, it would be like the people make jokes, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Um, is that you do have to have a scheme fleshed out, and it's something that you use. Like Budenholzer, don't like him. Very glad Sun signed him, but he has his principles of the sport. He has worked that out through being an assistant, and he was actually an assistant under Popovich. But not then he's been a head coach for years and years, and it's refined and refined. And again, I don't like it. We've saw a lot of the defensive principles with Ham because he was under Budenholzer. I don't like them, but they're so set from his experience that his assistants that get hired, like Darvin Ham, and adapt them the same way. So that's what being a head coach is, and we're not gonna get that super like experienced guy in this cycle no matter what, which I'm kind of good with. But with guys like Edelman, Michael Nori is another one, the Timberwolves assistant. I think it's David Edelman. He's the Nuggets like they call him offensive coordinator, I guess. Um, like those guys, Nori's another guy like that. They have the scheme for the team that they've been playing. Like they are largely responsible for it. So when you even James Borrego, he's like an offensive guy for the Hornets, and like he has a scheme that people that analyze that stuff specifically kind of like they respect it. So just when you choose between guys like that who Borrego had a failed head coaching job with the Hornets, but everyone has a failed head coaching stint with the Hornets. That's not, I don't really hold that too personally to him. But they all have something tangible that they could build off of. JJ Redick has nothing, and maybe he's like spent his off time or like because he knows sets, he knows plays, but you have to have a philosophy for basketball. You have to have something way more fleshed out than like a Rolodex of plays that you could go through. Like it has to be built out. It has to mean something. And he just doesn't. Well, we can assume based on his lack of coaching experience at any level beyond like I think he like he said he coached his kids' high school team or something. I don't know, something like that. Just anything that he doesn't have it.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's literally nothing, and it's not a safe hire by any means. LeBron's getting old. We fired Vogel, we fired Ham. We need we need our head coach. So to get a guy who has absolutely zero experience, and the main thing that's scaring me is we saw what happened with Steve Nash, and I actually think JJ Redick would be a lot better coach than Steve Nash. It's just like you said. I'm glad you brought that up. He doesn't have his staple. He doesn't have his scheme. Or we have zero idea because he's literally never coached.
Yeah.
Me personally, I think he needs to start off maybe an assistant, maybe go coach college. He needs some experience before he becomes the the biggest scapegoat in the NBA because that's what always happens when you're the Lakers coach.
Yeah.
I mean, by game 35, they'll find something to make fun of you, like the Darvin Ham pockets thing. I eventually I think he'll be a great head coach. It's just there's no experience.
Yeah. Actually, I gotta go see because especially like Mike Nori was he was the acting head coach for a couple games in this playoffs. I need to see if he's ever had his hands in his pockets, or maybe he like puts his hands on his hips a lot, or maybe he crosses his arms. I don't know. We got to see what Laker fans will hold on to when whatever guard we have shoots. It goes like 5 for 20, and we lose the game. And then we gotta be like, oh, it's because he was crossing his arms this game. I think that's what it was. Anyway, but yeah, I do agree. That's like it's just there's nothing to grab onto. And honestly, if like you were talking about him being an assistant, they Lakers this iteration of the Lakers front office loves finding guys that they want to be head coach and then realize they can't hire them to be the head coach because it wouldn't make sense. So they stick them on the coaching staff like they did with Frank Vogel and Jason Kidd. They would have just hired Jason Kidd as a head coach, but they knew that it was the optics were not good because he was embarrassing with the Bucks. If he did the stuff he did with the Bucks with the Lakers, he would have never coached again. He was like a laughing stock and like it was like funny like when he had a when he had I forgot the player was when he had them run into him and spill his drinks. So it's like that's funny to me. It's whatever. But it's like if he was a Laker when he did that, it would have been the end. But yeah, so and they did that with Lionel Hollins a little bit too. They wanted him. They didn't want him to be the head coach. I think honestly both fine hires. Obviously, we won the championship with them, but they might do that again with JJ Redick for one of the guys they hire, where it's like, hey, we can't make him the head coach, but we really think he has it in him. He's one of your assistants. Are you cool with that if we hire you? And I don't think they will be because they have experience and connections in the league and people to hire. But I don't know, maybe. But yeah, I think that's something to look out for.
So who we touched Redick. Take Borrego, Cassell, Adelman. Sorry for mispronouncing. Who's your number one choice of those three? If you even have one, you may not have one.
I have two ways to look at this. If I want to have an off season that is less annoying and not having to deal with fans complaining about stuff they don't understand, I want it to be Adelman. Honestly, he's probably the best choice regardless. So I'm just gonna play it out there. This is not just me being snarky. It is a little bit, but fans have convinced themselves that it's Adelman because guys like Cranjus McBasketball, aka Tim_NBA, he does the Lakers Exceptionalism podcast. I appreciate what he does. Like I think he's smart, but he's been so adamant about Adelman being the guy, and every other choice would be an embarrassment or whatever. Like he does whatever. But guys like him, people that the greater Laker community respects as a basketball mind, they've been pushing Adelman or Nori, which also probably be my two first choices, just because they have been publicly stated as being responsible for an aspect of the team that has worked. Like Malone and the players talk about Adelman being the one, or Adelman. I keep the Nuggets. I'm pretty sure it's Adelman, but I don't know. Nuggets have weird things about names. Old Mike Malone doesn't like being called Mike. Whatever. I think his name's David, so I'm just gonna call him David. Um, he is responsible for the offensive scheme, and Malone and the players have said that like publicly. So that's something we could see and watch. And I mean, I guess with the Lakers it would work because we have LeBron making the post. It's different when you have the players the Nuggets have, but it's a scheme that was very competent and set in stone, even without the players that elevated them to this championship caliber. It was consistent and it's repeatable and it's nice. So like that's something that you can hold on to, and it'd be if you hire him, it would make sense because like there's tangible evidence of what he does is like working. And then Nori, the same thing. I think he said he was offensive before. I'm pretty sure he's like the defensive coordinator for Minnesota, which again, when you have Ant and McDaniels and regular season Gobert, it's gonna look good. But at the same time, it's still something that like it's better than them it's better than them looking average in a scheme. Like if it's something that excels, then I'm cool with it. I want that. So yeah, I think those two are the ones. I don't want to touch Borrego. Even like assistant coach Borrego, super cool with that because again, offensively, he has like a confident style. He's been like it's like consistent and creates open shots, whatever. But yeah, I don't. And then Sam Cassell, I don't really know anything about him as a coach, so I can't say one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm with you. To me, Edelman's a guy. I think. I don't want to failed coach in Brago. That sounds harsh, but he legit it didn't work out
Yeah,
with the Hornets. I don't want him. Um, the Celtics. By the way, the Celtics just handed the. I mean, the Pacers just handed the Pacers the Celtics the win. It's
yeah, it's
disgusting to watch as a Laker fan. But Edelman, I'm really in on Edelman. This reminds we've referenced sports already in this video. This feels like a college football hire. You have a powerhouse champion, and the offensive minded coach. Just say he's the offense coordinator. He's they win a championship. He's getting a lot of noise. Then he gets hired by a Bluebird program. That's what this feels like. And he's legit had a real impact on this team. Like you said, the players love him. It's a real impact on a championship winning team
yeah,
and a great offensive team. He's he's not a failed head coach, so he doesn't have experience as a head coach, but he has experience winning a championship. And two, like you said, he has a philosophy, he has a system, which is my most important thing. He's a smart guy. He just beat us twice in a row and won a championship, so he has the guy's respect. I think he checks all the boxes. I'm pretty high on him. I'm not gonna be like he's the guy, he's the guy, he's the guy. Like you're saying, I think the Lakers fans just see, oh my God, he's with the Nuggets. We need him.
yeah,
But no, it's a mix of the other guys don't really cut it to me. Borrego's a failed coach. Just has no experience. I also don't know much about Cassell. This guy has been a real contributor to a championship team, a team that's beat us, and he's been the offensive mind of that team. So yeah, I feel really good about him.
yeah. 100%. I agree. I just remembered why I didn't look into Sam Cassell. It's because he was under Doc Rivers 2 times. Not touching that with a 1,000 foot pole. Don't want anyone from that tree. Yeah. So one last thing before we get out of here, and obviously I'll toss it back to you for closing thoughts. But I've heard a lot of this idea that whoever we sign is going to be because of LeBron. And obviously, he has heard that as well because he made Shams tweet that he is completely uninvolved with the coaching process, which is a lie. There's no team in the history of basketball, well, in the history of modern basketball, that will hire a head coach for a star player that is under contract for multiple years without saying, "Hey, LeBron, what do you think about this?" Which is always why I get so upset when people are like, "Oh, they're just doing everything for LeBron. Why can't we be the Lakers again?" Like I see that online so much, and it's like, do you think when the Celtics make a trade, they don't say, "Hey Tatum, what do you think about this?" That's just what it is. That's what basketball is. It always is. And the reason that the Bulls fell apart is because Jerry Reinsdorf didn't want to do that. Like that was the whole point. And okay, all it doesn't really matter to me as Reinsdorf and Krause, whatever. The point is, LeBron leaked and lied about it because he is going to be involved. But because he knows that Laker fans are going to put the responsibility on him instead of the front office for whatever happens, except if it's a good hire, then they'll be like, Rob finally stopped capitulating to LeBron and just made a hire. Like hiring Darvin Ham, an assistant coach, was not a LeBron hire. Inexperienced. You think LeBron wanted a guy that's never head coached a game in his life that he doesn't even know? That's a LeBron hire. It's just LeBron gives people like a derangement syndrome where they don't really understand what's happening in front of them because they hate him so much or they love him so much because it happens on both sides. It's just I can't stand hearing it to the point where I'm gonna be sad when he leaves, but incredibly relieved because I don't have to hear it from Laker fans. I don't have to hear it from Bronze fans. Regardless, right now he's on the team. He's going to extend this summer. I can almost guarantee that. Every the noise from every single plugged in reporter except for Brian Windhorst because he's trying to be on his Pinter Baelish stuff or whatever Baelish from Game of Thrones trying to like weave these crazy webs and lies and it was all stupid. Um He's gonna be here for multiple years. This is AD's team. It's been AD's team for 2 years. It doesn't matter how the media talks about him. And any hire they make will be for the next 5 years in mind. It's going to be a 5 year contract. That's the whole point. LeBron's not going to be here in 5 years. The coach might not either, but the whole point is they're doing something to look forward, and that's it. I don't want to hear LeBron, whatever, blah blah blah. That's dead to me. Stop. Sorry. All right. I got negative at the end, but I'll toss it to you, Matt. What's your closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Ham was supposed to be that. You know, Ham like
Yeah,
that wasn't for LeBron. It's for the future, and that's what this next hire is going to be. And last thing I'll say about coaching is I think people need to check their expectations. I think I'm gonna use Jason Kidd for an example. I think the most important thing is the team you put together. So the front office, what talent do you put on the floor, and how do those players perform? Coaching is very important, but it's not everything. College football, it is everything. In the NFL, it is everything. So I'm gonna use Jason Kidd as an example. If they don't trade for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, I think they lose to the Clippers, maybe.
they don't
And
even. They
if
would even
they're
be
not,
that seed.
yeah, seriously. And then Jason Kidd's on the hot seat. But they got those two guys. Now they're in Western Conference Finals. Now Jason Kidd looks like a great coach.
Yeah.
And he may be a great coach. He also may be a bad coach. It's all about what team we put together. So for the Lakers, if you put together a good team, just don't put together, just don't hire a coach that will be like the Achilles heel, where they just actively hurt us.
Yeah.
So you get a smart guy, a respected guy, a young guy that hopefully can be, 80s head coach for the next 5 years. I think they're interviewing the right guys, smart assistants. I feel good. I think they'll make the right decision.
Yeah. It's honestly, there's really not many, if any, objectively bad choices for me to like from this decision process. If they choose Edelman, they choose Nori, they choose honestly even Sam Cassell. Even though I don't want like either way, it's gonna be someone that is unless it's JJ Redick, it's gonna be someone that has a lot of experience and like as an assistant and can have something. And there's still a way to salvage JJ Redick hire if they have like Stan Van Gundy as his lead defensive assistant, and then some other like they have to build up the staff a lot. Anyway, getting into specifics on a hypothetical is not important. Regardless, no matter what jokes are being said from Laker fans or otherwise, the Lakers are a genuinely solid spot, and if they capitalize on this offseason, they could really set the foundation for the next 5 years of just being a good team. So, with that being said, we'll leave you here. We'll be back with our next video. We'll be talking about trade rumors and stuff. Stuff's kind of heating up. So yeah, a lot to look forward to this offseason. Potentially one of the biggest off seasons the Lakers have had in a very long time. So Ryan here, signing off with Matt. Peace.